Started.
And you're on YouTube. Just give me 30 seconds to get
Okay.
set up.
Last minute mic check. Brian?
Everybody
Yes.
sound good?
Everybody hear me?
Yep. Can you hear me? And I hear Baron's coming through loud and clear, so I think we're good. Hello. Hello.
That was so perfectly in
That'll
sync.
be, well, that should just be our mic check because it
Yes.
suits us perfectly.
So as the leader, I am clearly Mo. Which one of you is Larry and Curly?
I don't know. I kind of feel like Curly.
There we go.
All right, here we go, guys. You're on.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's episode of Paranormal Encyclopedia. We're going to finally be closing up our discussion of the devil by bringing him into the 20th and 21st centuries. As disappointed as one of our contenders for the title is.
Dragging him by his horns.
So, first, we do have a message from one of our sponsors, and we'll close the show with a message from the other. Folks, we talk a lot about books here. You know, with Brian being a writer, we've had a bunch of other writers on. If you're into books, and if you're not, you might want to look at a different program, really. But you should check out Audible. Audible is a great program for getting audiobooks.
Yes.
You can get an audiobook a month for about $15. But on top of that, if you go to our special link, which will be in the description, that's audibletrial.com/paranormale, audibletrial.com/paranormale, you get a free month's membership and a free audiobook. You can get one of Brian's audiobooks, all three of them, Ancient Enemies, Ancient Blood, and Drawing Dead.
Very high quality.
Dacre Stoker, who we've had on, his book, Dracula the Undead, is on there. I don't know for sure if any of the other ones we've had on are on there, but there's literally tens of thousands of audiobooks on there.
If not, they can be.
Yeah.
When they get Varney, that's when I'll be happy.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody's brave
Well,
enough.
again, there's the most complete vampire collection, which is 60 hours of vampire stories, not including Varney.
Well, let's see him shudder when I mention, how about all the entire works of Anne Rice? And people say I'm not the devil.
Anne Rice is on there.
Yeah.
It's really great. It helps the show out. Give it a look if you don't have an Audible account already. Again, it's free, so what do you got to lose? So before we get into our topic for tonight, I also want to give a promo for tomorrow. So, folks, there's a YouTube channel out there that claims that creationists have taught him real science. He has a whole series talking about various creationist arguments and the science that actually goes behind them and basically why creationists are wrong. I just had to look into it for myself. So tune in tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It'll be on the channel. It'll probably be in the form of Google Hangout. I'll be talking with Tony Reed, host of the YouTube series How Creationism Taught Me Real Science. He also works on a series called Paulogia. Really nice. Seems like a very nice guy. Should be a lot of fun.
Cool. Sounds good.
Does, definitely.
Yep. And we've got some more things of that sort in the works as well. We'll let you know as we get dates and things of that nature. So, the devil today.
The devil. Dun, dun, dun.
God, the devil, and Bob.
Best modern day portrayal of devil. Go.
Oh, hey, God, the devil, and Bob.
I'm sorry?
You've never seen God, the devil, and Bob?
I cannot say that I have heard God, me, and Bob.
Okay, so anyone who doesn't know, there's a really good 90s era cartoon called God, the Devil, and Bob about a man by the name of Bob. It's basically your classic 80s, 90s sitcom. And just like other sitcoms, you have the wacky neighbors who come in.
It was pretty much the when The Simpsons was popular and everybody tried to have an animated show.
But yeah, it's a sitcom where the wacky neighbors are God and Satan.
See, that should have worked.
It so would have worked.
It did work. The problem that
I've never heard of it.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
not on the air today, so obviously
Well,
it
worked
didn't.
Here's why it
extent.
didn't work.
Yeah.
So in the promotion, the guy who's voicing, and this was a brilliant choice. God is voiced by, what's his name? Honey, do you remember his name? James Gardner.
James Garner?
Oh, wow.
Tell me that's not a great choice.
It's very interesting.
I would say so. I can't really do his voice too well, except...
So
This is mad.
God's a very laid back, cool kind of dude, although he is currently trying to destroy the world. Satan, on the other hand, is an uptight yuppie
Nice.
with a stick up his ass.
Right.
But the problem is, in one of the promos for the show, promotional still, just a picture, God, who has long, wispy white hair and a big, bushy white beard and sunglasses and a tie-dye T-shirt.
Oh, jeez.
He slightly looked like Jerry Garcia. And religious people threw a fit because they thought that they were making God into Jerry Garcia. No disrespect to Jerry Garcia, but that's not what they did.
That would be kind of hard to... That's like so anti-chicken and egg. Didn't God come before Garcia? So wouldn't you be trying to make Jerry Garcia into God, not the other way around?
Exactly.
Well, plus, how many ways are there to draw an old bearded white guy?
Also, here's the two kickers.
Yeah, what's
One,
the other kicker?
Is they had a Roman Catholic priest and a Jewish rabbi as technical advisors that signed off on all but one of the shows. And only one show the priest wouldn't sign off on, and the rabbi did, which was about God's girlfriend. And two, the image of God in the tie-dye T-shirt never appears in the series. And the series point, stick with your family, there's too much sex on television. Not that there shouldn't be any, but just tone it down, calm down, people. It's a pretty conservative message in a very left-wing appealing sense, because it's not shoving it down your throat. It's moderation, not sex is okay. You don't need sex everywhere all of the time.
All right. Well, to answer your question, my vote would go Bob De Niro.
Oh, Angel Heart. Yes. Such a good movie.
Yes. De Niro as the devil.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with. I mean, just one scene with him in that, and you're creeped out. There's a good runner-up in Viggo Mortensen.
Oh yes,
Prophecy, as we
the only downside is by saying that Robert De Niro is the devil, you have ruined the brilliance of Angel Heart.
Well,
and as much as that movie's been out for so long,
spoiler alert! If you haven't seen this, 30-year-old movie,
now normally for
shame on you,
Brian. Normally for a 30-year-old movie, I would totally agree with you.
Oh, spoiler, please.
That spoilers are fine, but it is such a brilliant little movie that most people haven't heard of. I never like to tell them that, just so that they could see the brilliance of the reveal.
I think, honestly, because from watching it a few times, I don't think that's the catch of the movie. I don't think revealing that aspect.
It's still a pretty big reveal.
It is, but I think, the first time that he introduces himself as Louis Cypher.
Yeah,
I think most people are going to catch on.
Yeah,
I think the real thing is something else that I haven't revealed, and that's what really makes the movie.
Okay.
Even knowing that, it is an absolutely brilliant movie.
It is, and it's so much fun.
How about you? What's your favorite depiction of yourself, apparently?
It's a tie, actually. The irony is that it was two different actors that portrayed him. One actor only portrayed him as Lucifer for all of one episode, but the attitude alone sold it. It's the portrayal of Lucifer in that show, Supernatural.
Oh, I was wondering if that was going to come in.
I forget the name of the actor. He was on Lost. Mark Pellegrino, yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Depicted him in almost every episode he appears in.
And then the one episode where you actually got to see what would have happened if Dean had continued to say no and Sam had said yes. Then you get to see Sam as Lucifer.
Oh, yeah.
That's in the white suit and the smirk that kept twitching.
As many problems as season 5 has, that was a beautiful
a beautiful episode, yeah.
And Mark Pellegrino made a very good devil.
Oh,
as well.
He's a great actor. He was very good in Dexter. He was very good in Being Human.
Mm-hmm. I liked him in Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
You know who another...
You're not dealing with morons here, Lebowski.
Nope.
You realize we've also missed another one of the truly great devil depictions in film?
Stormare?
No.
Although I just
Look.
did, didn't I?
But don't touch.
Oh yes. Well, no.
Oh, yeah.
No. Big Al alone.
Big
Okay,
Al.
Big Al alone.
Him and
he
De
is a
Niro.
class all in of his own. Okay.
Yeah.
You could have your wants, and then there's somebody you say, no, he is. Everybody else is just trying to depict him, and Pacino definitely owned it.
Oh, good. He grabbed the ball and ran.
Oh yes.
Like
As, as far as being the closest to
speech.
you in depiction, yeah, I think Pacino.
Another
came close to
brilliant.
He's right though. God is an absentee landlord. He's a sadist. I'm a humanist.
The last human.
Maybe the last humanist.
I'll say another very good, but he's such a short portrayal. I don't remember the man's name, but the guy who plays Satan in the movie Constantine.
That's Peter Stormare.
Peter Stormare.
Oh yes. We've covered
Another-
Wait, deja vu.
We've,
Didn't we
we've
hit
done
this?
this topic.
It's still awesome.
actually-
Another Big Lebowski alumni, by the way.
Yes.
We believe in nothing Lebowski.
Oh God.
We have talked about the best depictions of the devil in film before, but this is actually
two devils in one movie.
Shut up, you're ruining it because I don't want to think about that. He was in a sperm suit. That's not right.
okay.
Gosh.
So,
Carrying a giant pair of scissors. It's not right.
switching from the world of fiction to the real world.
Yes.
The devil in the real world in the 20th century.
Right. Oh, I actually heard of something.
Oh,
Well, not so much depiction-wise, but within the real world. Do you remember what happened in Colombia back this past February?
remind me.
The first official church of Satan was opened. Like a legit church dedicated to Satan.
Okay then.
Yeah.
It's like, wouldn't that have the first one already opened when LaVey was still kicking?
No, you're not talking about LaVey's house where he held ceremony. I'm talking like the size of St. Pat's Cathedral.
Really?
Yeah.
There we go.
I kid
No,
you
I'm just
not.
thinking of. I just
I
saw a
don't doubt
review
it.
of a movie I'm looking forward to seeing that's coming out. The Devil and Malachi Father Armoth.
Right.
About for those of you who don't know, Father Gabriel Armoth was the chief exorcist for the city of Rome itself in the Catholic Church. William Friedkin, the man behind the movie The Exorcist, is doing a documentary based on Father Armoth's life.
Nice.
Very loosely based on his life. There was also the movie that came out some years back called The Rite, starring Anthony Hopkins. Sorry, Anthony Hopkins is an exorcist.
Yes.
That would be the same guy we're talking about. Although that's based on a book about a man who studied under Armoth, actually.
How was that? I haven't seen.
What,
The
The
Rite?
Rite?
No,
Yeah.
It was okay.
Okay.
It's one of those I know the real thing too much to enjoy the movie.
Yeah, it's
Because
like
I
me
just-
watching Get Out and like just hating every single depiction of hypnosis through it. You know, same thing.
Just
Same
picking
thing.
it apart too much.
Yeah, next week. Next week we'll talk
There
about
Yes,
that.
there we
Next
go.
week we'll talk about that.
Folks, we can announce now, given we've decided next week's topic is going to be popular misconceptions in our perspective fields. Baron's going to talk about some things that people get wrong about hypnosis, which is probably at least 2 or 3 shows in and of itself. What little I know of the subject.
Oh yeah.
I'll do popular misconceptions about the paranormal. Brian will do popular misconceptions about vampires. Should be a good time.
Well, the one thing that we can definitely say is not a misconception. Vampires do not sparkle.
Not a yep,
That's-
absolutely true. They do
that-
not.
that is
But you,
not
that
a
they
popular-
sparkle is a misconception.
That's not a popular misconception. No.
Although I can think of at least one instance in which a vampire might sparkle. If it just bursts in through your window and the glass is sparkly on the lights.
Or if you threw
sure.
in, if you dumped
Threw
pop
glitter on
rocks
them.
on them before you actually made them go outside.
Actually, you want to know the scary thing is, I have found in the research 1 or 2 very, very slim things that you could actually hang that sparkling kind of thing on. Not much.
Okay.
It's
then-
more or less
Okay.
it's more or less something from a dream that a woman made up because it looked pretty.
Okay. Okay.
It's a dream.
Yeah, it's
Well,
there's
keep in
not
mind
much in the
that some of
folklore.
vampire folklore comes over from fairy folklore. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
That there is a little bit of crossover, like the iron.
There's so much we could say about how
the
much
holy
people get wrong
symbols.
about fairy. Oh yeah,
Oh.
Actually, was originally used against fairies and ghosts, not vampires, but sort of
And demons.
and demons, and then sort of got crossed over by Bram Stoker into
Logically,
vampires.
if I ever run into an actual vampire, we'll probably try a holy symbol.
Why not just throw a bag of rice in front of him and then walk away?
See, that's actually much more. In,
Have you ever seen
folklore.
the second movie in the Dracula 2000 series?
The second one?
There were 3.
There's Dracula: The Ascension, and Dracula.
So it'd be Ascension's the second one, isn't it?
Second one, I think, is.
It's the only vampire movie I've ever seen actually do
Yeah.
the throwing rice in front of a vampire.
No, there was another one, but that one you just made my.
That was the
head
X.
that
They
actually
did
made
the
that
X
movie
Files.
3 times.
Fox Mulder did that.
Did it work better in X-Files?
Yes, and it was hilarious because the kid, it's the the fat kid from the Sandlot. You know,
Yes.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Yes.
He shows up as a vampire.
Oh,
Wait, what?
Pizza delivery boy vampire comes at him with the fangs. Fox Mulder, as he's passing out, throws a handful of rice, and the kid just looks down and goes, "Oh, I hate you." Starts picking up the
see, the brilliant...
grains around.
The thing I enjoyed about Ascension and why I bring it up, they throw the rice in front of Dracula, and then you just see
Yeah.
the rice freeze in
Bullet-
midair
bullet
and counts
time.
it in bullet time and gives them the exact number.
Yeah.
And then continues to attack.
That's
they,
awesome.
They throw like this knotted rope, this hugely knotted rope, and he just sort of like
Bullet
ring,
time,
like
just hands just pass
undoes
through it,
like
undoes
a-
all the knots at once.
Yeah, like a magic trick. It was
But
really
you
well
have to
done.
give credit to them for actually acknowledging that obscure bit of the folklore.
Of course.
Yeah.
What was the one where
And this is all
It's
stuff
mostly,
for...
it's mostly Chinese.
Yeah.
Is where
It shows up
these
in some
come
European as well.
From. I think it migrated
the
because
passing,
there
the
was a lot
crossing
of
over
I knew
running
somebody
water?
back and
who
forth.
had a-
yes, the running water is
Yeah.
another
European.
Asian.
Is that Asian?
That's Asian.
Oh, that's Asian.
originally, yeah.
Oh.
And I knew somebody who had a theory that the rice thing was actually one vampire who just traveled a lot and had obsessive compulsive disorder.
Was just obsessive. There's actually what's funny is there's a lot of obsessive compulsive ideas in the vampire mythology that plays up.
which
a
is
lot.
why Count Von Counts is a better vampire than Twilight.
He is
Yes.
a better vampire than a lot. Actually, he's got more folkloric justification than most.
Granted, but
I mean, it's sad when Sesame Street's doing a better job
than you are.
than most horror movies and
Yes,
But it-
one stupid misconception.
And this is next week's topic, so let's try to get
Yes.
back
Yes.
to the focus.
All right. Well, here's one. All right. Let's kick into the focus and a mass misconception about the modern depiction of the devil.
Yes.
Okay. Quite notably, I feel like the devil loves to make deals. That's why I think the devil is Bob Barker.
does he also love to spay and neuter pets?
Only with turtle wax.
But as we covered a couple of weeks ago, there is actually legitimacy to people making deals with devils.
With devils. Oh, no,
Satan
sir. Satan himself. Admit it. The man, actually, you want to know what? Here. Modern
Actually,
day
it's not
depiction.
Satan, it's Nyarlathotep.
Gesundheit.
The thing about Cthulhu's creatures, they all make you want to say Gesundheit after somebody says the name.
Don't. I'll our conversation at the diner that first night. Okay. Don't mention Lovecraft creatures around me ever again. But no, I'm more or less. I'm talking about the concept that even a modern day depiction of Lucifer or the devil, however you want to put it, however you want to call him, it's all based along, the old school folklore and forgive me, I'm going to call Christian mythology folklore. I don't want to
there's
call
nothing
it
wrong-
mythology.
There is nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
Folklore doesn't mean it's wrong.
Ultimately, he got kicked downstairs, or he tried to fight and he lost, because we can't necessarily say that Grant kicked General Lee to the south when he lost. Instead, it was a ceasefire. He says, "You go down." Now he's basically not transported, but deported down to Hades or hell.
I fought the law.
And
Well, that's-
God won.
I fought the
The
law.
God and a God won. Yep, there you go. Okay, and now for the most part, it was part of a deal. It was like, okay, you want to know what? Since I'm going to be down here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and populate the place as much as possible and show that they deserve it.
Or the simplest way I always put that is misery loves company.
Oh,
If I'm going down, you're all going with me.
or at least a third of you. There it is.
Well, a third of the angels, he's still fighting
Yeah.
over how many humans he gets.
Oh, well, of course. But you know what? I mean, I look at it like this. And it's kind of funny. I'm remembering an episode of South Park
Oh,
where everybody is already down to the pit and they say, wait a minute, I was a God-fearing Christian. I was a devoted Catholic. Oh, I'm sorry, you got it all wrong. Well, who got it right? It was the Mormons. Oh, that's right. The Mormons are the ones that get to go to heaven. Yeah, okay.
this is like a cardinal part of why my standing rule in life in general is not to be judgmental of other people's
You ever
religious
hear?
beliefs,
You ever
even
hear
among
Rowan
denominations.
Atkinson's bit where he plays the devil?
Wait, Mr. Bean is not the devil.
Yeah, no, he
No,
does.
He plays
Mr.
the
Bean is
devil.
not the devil.
He does
No,
a stand up and it's fantastic.
he can't be the devil.
You know, he portrays the guy, not the devil, the guy that's like sort of the welcoming tour guide to hell.
That was my old job.
Hello, welcome to hell. On
Look-
your
look
left,
it-
you'll see.
Look it up. It's great. You know, it's like the one person like, oh, the bathrooms. Yes, no, I'm sorry, there aren't any. Yes, if you read your Bible, you would see it was damnation without relief.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a bunch of like, just a bunch of like
He's
bits
not
like that.
wrong.
He's really
Oh,
it's
gosh.
hilarious.
I'm
It's
here
like-
thinking.
it's like you're just going to have to hold it.
There's an it's the only one of his movies I've ever seen, and it's the entire reason I saw it. But there's a Woody Allen movie with where Billy Crystal plays the devil,
Oh yeah.
and the devil has air conditioning in his office in hell. Why? Because it's terrible for the environment.
I like that. That would be the me kind of devil. Oh, wait. I remembered another portrayal of the Dark Prince himself. Okay, you're going to love this. Harvey Keitel.
Harvey
Little
Keitel.
Little
Oh, God.
Nicky.
One of the worst movies ever, but
Well, that-
funny
Well,
for-
Dangerfield was actually the original Lucifer. His kid was
Rodney
Keitel.
Dangerfield. Yes.
Was Keitel. And
Grandpa Lucifer.
yeah. Oh, I got no respect. The last time I was up there in heaven. Oh, wow, I did that voice a little too well.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, boy.
It's not a good movie, and I personally can't stand Adam Sandler.
No.
He only had one good film, unfortunately. Well, two. Just two. And neither one of those was it. That.
Yeah.
That's
I enjoy that movie, but not because of Adam Sandler, because he's not that funny. Not because of, but one, Harvey Keitel as Satan.
Yeah.
Two, Rodney Dangerfield as Lucifer. There are some extremely funny people in that movie.
Oh, he gets
yes.
some good talent. He can surround himself with some good. If he
He's
He's
like
by
me.
far the worst part of that
if he had just
movie.
worked
That's
a
his
little harder
problem.
on the script and actually made it good.
Yeah.
And let's also be honest. Ozzy Osbourne showing up to save the day at the end was awesome.
Yeah.
And Henry Winkler covered in bees.
Yeah.
Instant win.
The pineapple and Hitler.
Yeah.
You've got to be kidding.
Which actually leads to that back to the serious side of things. Not that we ever stick on serious for long,
Not
but
us.
Why would
one of the
we?
common discussions, and we've talked about this before, is the idea that Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin were both possessed, possibly by Satan himself.
Joey was, Adolf wasn't.
I think, and I've said this before. I think Adolf was possessed. I don't think it was Satan. I think Martin Bormann, the man who actually planned the
Bormann
Holocaust,
was
That was Heydrich.
oh Heydrich.
Heydrich. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm mixing names.
Reinhard Heydrich.
Reinhard Heydrich, and after Heydrich's assassination, Heinrich Himmler would be likely candidates for the devil because they were both very much more intelligent than Hitler. 'Cause
They
Hitler was
were.
a
Martin Bormann was
bloody
also
idiot.
a brutal son of a bitch.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah,
God,
so
yes.
yeah, he would also be a candidate if you were thinking along those lines.
And
the
he
thing-
was always at Adolf's ear.
Yep.
Well, yeah, he
Constantly.
pretty much ran Hitler.
But eventually he's assassinated. And if you watch the thing that makes
No,
me,
actually, he died after. He
I thought it
died.
was
No,
assassinated.
Bormann
he-
was
he
running
died in
towards
the
the
fall.
train station out in the middle of Berlin when
Okay.
Stalin was actually starting to invade, and he ended up cyaniding himself.
They thought he escaped to South America, and for years they.
Oh, right.
They
Okay,
thought
now I
that
remember.
they found his body like 2 blocks away from the bunker. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But,
he didn't make it.
Finally,
The thing
too.
is that because Heydrich eventually,
Heydrich was assassinated.
that's
Yeah,
what
by
I
the
mean.
2
Heydrich
Czech
was eventually
assassins.
assassinated. And if you look at, I think one of the telling things that something's going on there, aside from Heinrich Himmler's absolute obsession with the occult,
Oh God.
is Heinrich Himmler went to the concentration camps, saw what was being done,
And vomited.
It
Had
made
a-
him
had a
vomit.
nervous
It made him
breakdown,
sick. He had a nervous breakdown, but he kept signing the orders. It
Of
didn't
course.
stop him from doing what they were doing.
Heck of a lot
no,
easier
well, he
to
was
sign
a-
paperwork.
No, he was a true believer.
That's all.
Yeah.
He just didn't like
was
the
a-
dirt
he
that
was-
came with
Or
it.
it's the
Yeah.
what's left of him that's human being revolted by how far he's come.
That or the smell was just that bad. You know,
Or
we're making
maybe
fun of it.
In Auschwitz, it supposedly was.
Yeah.
It was supposedly a terrible place.
Stalin, on the other hand, was very smart,
Yeah.
very dangerous,
And just an utter
and killed.
psychopath.
And while I do not say this to in any way cheapen the Holocaust, because the Holocaust was absolutely horrible, and anyone who says otherwise is an idiot. But Stalin, in pure numbers, killed more people.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
he did.
And with less fanfare.
And they were his own.
Yeah.
Because frankly, his mentality was is throw more people at the problem. Just more.
Not to
just
mention
more.
the ones he sent off to the gulags and
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
Just for being enemies.
Yeah, or existing for that matter.
Yeah. So,
And it's a point because you'll hear a lot of, you'll hear, excuse me, a section of atheists who will say religious people are horrible. Look at what Hitler did. Because Hitler was not an atheist. What his actual religious beliefs are, we've talked about before, and it's complicated. But he was definitely not an atheist. Stalin was definitely an atheist.
Oh, yes. And his mentality was plain simple. Whatever serves me is what is best the most.
And it's like, the position, my official position on the subject is people are people. Religion doesn't actually play. There are religious people who are highly moral, wonderful people.
Exactly.
Case in point, think of the nicest people you can. Mr. Rogers,
Yes.
Bob Ross,
LeVar Burton.
Every single one of those persons is religious.
Yeah.
And I know for certain, in the case of Bob Ross and Mr. Rogers, they were both Christian. I'm not certain if Burton is Christian or
George Carlin.
is one notable exception.
Yes.
Yep. He was a great atheist, but a great
But
humanitarian.
extremely, which goes to my point, which is there are great people who are atheists as well,
Exactly.
and there are horrible people that are Christian and horrible people that are atheists.
Yeah. The morality is.
I'm not saying
determined
one
by
makes you
belief.
better than the other.
Now, I've actually got somebody that you have not mentioned could have possibly been the devil himself during the 20th century.
Who?
Grigory Ivanovich Rasputin.
I don't agree.
I think he's been.
He gets a
think he's
much
been
he gets a much worse
dramatized.
rap than he should have.
Oh, I get that, but
I
with
don't
somebody
think he
that
did
hard to
this much.
kill,
He wasn't that hard to kill.
No, that's actually been
Realize
exaggerated.
the thing is, the story of how hard he was to kill was made up by the people who killed him.
but they still found him crawling through the damn carpets after they found the body.
He died pretty quickly. He
was shot, stabbed, poisoned. That alone, that was
and
proven.
eventually drowned.
And then drowned.
And there are people that
Yeah,
have
but
The
survived
gunshot, the
weird-
I wanna say the
poison,
second or third
stabbing
gunshot-
didn't kill him.
No, he was dead before he hit the water.
Yeah.
Then why is it there are still signs of him trying to scratch his way out of the carpet?
I'd have to see the signs. I'm more than
Yeah.
Probably before they finally. It wasn't like the first shot that killed him. It took a couple of tries. It's probably before they managed to finish him off.
The point of it is that you
Now,
gotta
if you want
wonder.
to talk people that were hard to kill,
Me?
Blackbeard,
I'm sorry, who?
Blackbeard, shot 20 times, stabbed 20 times, head cut off, and according to legend, swam around the ship 13 times before jumping back on board and dying.
What do you expect? It's Edward Teach. He is all pirate. That's what they do.
That story
But yeah.
I have a little hard time.
Otherwise, just being Vigo.
Well, no.
Speaking
how
of the
many-
devil, he is Vigo.
Yeah.
Vigo the Carpathian.
Yes.
And we're at the half an hour mark, so I do want to give out the phone number in case anybody out there wants to join this crazy conversation, since we've had a good time.
Yes.
And hello, Joker. We got somebody in the chat, in the YouTube chat, along with some people in the Facebook chat. So the phone number, if you want to call in, is 609-807-2492. 609-807-2492. Feel free to call in and make fun of us. Or
Come, tell us about the
contribute.
devil.
Actually, you know what? You just made me think of somebody else that could be considered the devil.
Who?
Although he would be considered a 20th century edition, but we wouldn't think of it. We would see it in visual print. Hello, I'm the Joker. You've seen the depth of his madness as well as the several different depictions of his story. All right.
Granted, he's a fictional character.
Yes, but you want to know
As a
what? A
modern
fictional
depiction
character
of-
that could be a modern depiction.
Oh no, he's a brilliant. Yeah, I
It's
would
not
agree.
that. It's not
yes.
that bad an idea. No.
The
Now
only,
there
only
is.
thing I would disagree with is the Joker in his purest form, in my opinion, is as Heath Ledger describes himself in Dark Knight, but he really isn't in Dark Knight. As great a depiction as that was, he's an agent of chaos.
And
Yeah.
you know what?
The devil is not.
The devil actually is considered to be the opposite of what it is to be God. That is what was taught to us. Not necessarily truth, because you want to know what Scripture completely and totally contradicts that.
Yeah, here's the thing. I don't.
That's a thought.
I've
If
never
God is
s-
order,
you know,
then
if you want to
the
put,
devil should be chaos.
but
Thing.
no. Piers Anthony, one of my favorite fantasy writers, though he has some weird ideas about all sorts of things, I think puts it very well. God and Satan both want order. They have a difference of opinion about who should run the order.
And that's understandable.
Well,
Satan doesn't want
one very
anarchy. He
obvious,
wants to rule the universe. He wants to be God. He wants to rule.
Well, the kicker here is one theory that actually that DC kicked around a little bit that makes a lot of sense in that. Joker is the only person in the DC universe that knows that he's in a comic book,
Yep.
which in turn means that he has that form of omniscience within that entire universe, and he knows he's to be the villain, so he's doing his job. Who does that sound like to us?
Sounds very much like
You have a
Milton's
point.
version of the devil.
Yep.
I could definitely. No, I think there's a good argument to be made.
Also,
yes.
the correlation between mental illness and
And sanity, which
And-
the way it's depicted, it's
in the
it's
20th
depicted.
century, that is the modern evil is mental illness.
And the thing, and within the comics themselves, everybody in them and their mother, when they went into this like one machine, they'd come out insane. When they put him in there, suddenly he came out sane. Now, what does that tell you? That everybody else is crazy because they believe that their world is real, and he knows better. Then they put him in the machine. Now he thinks that that world is real.
Yes, that makes sense.
He's the devil. That's it. Plain and simple.
No, it makes
Not an
sense.
agent of chaos, but he's definitely a deity of some kind.
Well, they did that one storyline where they made him
Right.
like this immortal
Emperor Joker.
kind
Emperor
of
See,
thing.
I
Joker,
see him.
yes.
I would see him more as a Loki figure than a satanic figure.
Probably.
Because
A trickster.
Yeah, a dark trickster.
Oh, he's the
Because the
ultimate trickster.
thing is, most tricksters, and it's one of the reasons I love it as an archetype, are actually good guys.
Most.
The two major exceptions are Loki, and even Loki isn't
Loki
evil.
just has a twisted sense of humor.
Well, it is Loki becomes evil over time, but mostly because his family shoves him into that role and forces him to stay there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Coyote in Native American.
Some versions of Coyote would be because the
a
thing
lot
is,
of them, like Navajo especially, he's more or less the bad guy.
a
In
lot
almost
of the
all
Navajo
his
stories I've read, he's less deliberately evil and more sort of a bumbling incompetent.
Yeah, but he represents all that's wrong in the.
But there are
Native-
others that he is actually much. Generally, Coyote is more the traditional trickster. There are elements where he is a much darker figure.
Yeah.
But on the whole, there's the idea of the trickster as teacher.
Yeah.
Probably one of the great depictions of this in fiction is Mr. Miyagi. Is the
Miyagi is
trickster.
a trickster.
Wax on, wax off to teach you the muscle memory for blocks.
That's the
Tell me that's
tradi-
not a trickster teaching method.
Well, that's the traditional kind of Buddhist Shinto, the wise old man who appears to be a fool.
oh yeah,
That's how most martial arts was formed. They took
Yeah.
what
Yes.
general traditional actions were and adopted them for the sake of defense.
Well, it was so that they could teach people.
true, but
without
most
the,
modern
authorities
senseis
getting wise.
don't
Yeah.
teach you, rising blocks by making you do it over and over and over again. Not
course.
wax on, wax off.
well,
It's or Jackie
repetitive motion.
Chan in the modern version of Karate Kid. Pick up the jacket, put down the jacket. Doing something you find annoying to teach you a lesson. Fooling you to teach you a lesson.
or using the person's mind to its advantage. I think.
Well, you create muscle
Muscle memory.
memory.
Yeah.
You create a different type of.
Associative memory, because and,
Yeah.
and that is the way that the human mind does work.
Well,
It actually is one of the most effective forms.
oh no,
of
it
learning.
is
yes.
absolutely. It's a good teaching style.
Of course.
I think the Jackie Chan method is particularly good because it's a double lesson. There's the basic, learn the bloody respect that you pick up your jacket and you hang it up.
Exactly.
You don't just throw it on the floor and forget it. But on top of that, oh, by the way, I've also been teaching you martial arts the entire time.
Go figure.
You just on a conscious level don't understand what's going on, which is the trickster. More than the trickster I'm talking about. It's the trickster as I'm going to make you look stupid to teach you a lesson.
Q.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, perfect trickster figure.
Q is exactly the sort of trickster I mean.
especially later on.
Hermes in Greek mythology, Coyote and Crow, Raven, and there's a bunch of them all over the world. There's one
Monkey.
yes, so the handsome monkey king Sun Wukong.
Gabriel in Supernatural.
Yes,
Oh, yes. That alone.
and they openly admit in the book about making of books they've written about the seasons of Supernatural that yes they were that's what that idea is what they're going for. It's trickster as teacher.
Oh, yes.
He's not just being a dick; he's making a point.
But he's still a dick.
Oh yes, he's still a dick.
And delights in it,
The
too.
best ones are both.
Of course. Yes.
Another great trickster that, and this is a truly remarkable thing because of how right Disney got it. Maui.
I have not seen the movie yet.
Me neither.
Moana's a pretty good movie.
I've heard.
But there's a song Maui played by The Rock, which is beautiful in its own right. But about all these crazy things, he's bragging about all these things he did, and just about everything he brags about doing in the song is directly taken from folklore.
Well, which is means they did their homework.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but Disney is not well known for doing its homework.
Coco.
It depends, yeah.
They did their homework.
Yeah, sometimes
don't
they
that
do.
well.
They did. Aladdin. They did. They do their
Yeah, but
homework.
Aladdin is not based
When
on the
it-
story at all.
I
No,
didn't
it's
say
not.
it was. They just did their homework in consideration of the art style.
I mean more in terms of the folk.
Well,
Art
the
style, yes.
folklore.
Folklore is a different issue.
Darby
With
O'Gill
Maui,
and the
they
Little
actually target a lot of his folklore correctly.
I'll give you that. I'll certainly give you that.
Yeah. The Snow Queen really is not based on the Hans Christian Andersen story.
If
Or the Snow Queen, Frozen is really not based on the
No,
Snow
but that was
Queen.
more Pixar,
now,
I think, than Disney. Wasn't
No,
it?
that was Disney.
Was it just Disney?
the thing is that if you would consider Lucifer to be a trickster,
Oh,
per
he
se.
certainly is.
I mean, you have the old portrayals of him. Would you consider what he did in the Garden of Eden to be a trickster's act?
Potentially, yes.
Job certainly was.
Oh, yes.
Job certainly
A lot of
was.
his depictions in Grimm's fairy tales are very tricksty.
Oh, God, yes.
Of course, the thing you run into with Grimm's fairy tales,
Uh-huh.
I don't think most of those stories were originally about the devil.
They weren't originally about the devil, or
I think they come from pagan Europe.
that's where I was
And
going to go next with
fairies
that. Yeah.
got adopted into being the devil.
Yeah. I will. There's a lot of like what I call cross promotional in the states of religion,
Oh,
where
yes, there
sometimes
absolutely
they
is.
actually do acknowledge the existence of the other. Apparently, Jesus went down to hell and destroyed Hades. In other words, apparently Hades and hell were two different places.
There's a lot of complicated theology that goes into that, but yeah.
Oh yeah.
Basically, what that you're referencing is there's a belief in some Christianity, primarily him going to hell when he died on the cross is Catholic. Although this is not standard Catholic, I don't think.
That's old school.
This part. Well, this part, what you do find in other things is so from Adam's fall to Christ, no one went to heaven.
Right.
But Abraham, Isaac, Noah really didn't deserve hell.
So they sent them
So
to
they were,
Hades.
they were sent to Hades.
Well, that
And
actually space was wasn't nearly that bad.
When he went to hell, is he freed all the people in Hades and allowed them to go to heaven.
Yeah, and you see, now there is actually something I can say, all right, that finally there's finally something within that book that makes sense to me 100%, and I
not actually
cannot
in the
argue
Bible.
with. Oh, and
Well,
you see now, there
it's
you go.
Though there's a very good book I should have you
So
read.
close.
Because I think you'd enjoy it.
Which is?
The Great Divorce by C.S. Lewis.
Is it on Audible?
Yes, it is.
Ah, there you go. See, another reason.
So I've actually reviewed this in his my other favorite of his, which is of course the Screw Tape letters. Have you read the Screw Tape?
No,
Okay.
sadly,
So are you familiar with the idea of Screw Tape?
no.
Okay. So Screw Tape letters is a series of letters written by Uncle Screw Tape to his nephew Wormtail. See, Wormtail is a demon who's just been appointed to Earth to tempt a human and ruin their soul and bring them down to hell.
No, not Peter Pettigrew. Different Wormtail.
Yes.
Go on.
And Screwtape is advising him on how to turn the person wicked.
Okay.
What's brilliant about it, and why it's very popular even with non-Christians, is it's not a you have to believe in my form of Christianity or you're going to hell. It's an examine of human failings and human weaknesses. It's about how we relate to each other. Things like, talking about the man lives with his mother. Well, you want to get him to hate his mother, but not to really hate her. Just hate all those little annoying things he does, and eventually convince him that all those we all have habits that other people in our lives don't like, especially when you live with people. But to mentally work on the patient, which is all they ever refer to the human as. They never give him a name. To convince him that all those things mom does that he finds so annoying, she does deliberately to annoy him.
They increase his paranoia.
Exactly. And it's other concepts like that, just dealing with... And here's one of the other absolute brilliances of C.S. Lewis, and it's true here and it's true in his other works, is specifically the advice to keep the patient away from the sciences. Or specifically to keep them away from physics and the heavier sciences, because the argument that reason can lead you to God. And that what's better than having somebody interested in actual scientific research is you want them interested in what's the newest idea, what's the best, the idea that is the best, not because it has the most evidence, but it's the new, it's the radical, it's the best thing.
Just because it's new, that immediately makes it better.
Right.
Oh.
While constantly warning against, and again, it's Screwtape warning to avoid things that we all should do.
Right.
And constantly warning against deeper introspection and actually thinking reasonably. And oh, dear heavens, is this something I wish Christians as a whole followed today? Of use your brains, don't turn them off.
That is...
The other
That's why it's good.
book
Wow.
that's absolutely brilliant is The Great Divorce, which is about a bus trip. It starts in a city. It's a city in twilight, just on the very edge of nightfall,
Okay.
full of dead people, and it's huge to the point that lots of people, not everyone who's ever died, but lots of people who died are there. But to get to somebody like Genghis Khan, you have to travel light years to reach him. He's that far away. Because what happens is everyone's there, and they just naturally decide to separate. It's not no force, but eventually, the longer they live together, the more they decide they don't want to have anything to do with each other, and they start getting wrapped up in themselves.
Okay.
And essentially, this is his model of hell. Or at least it's his model of hell before the final judgment.
Is making everybody live together for eternity until they start to hate each other?
Is making people live in their own problems and live in their own, all the things that they did that were so stupid in life. There's a talk of two people who went out to see Napoleon Bonaparte once.
Well, vive la
Was
France.
like
Go
the
on.
closest famous person who was dead at the time. And it took them centuries to get there and back.
Okay.
And all they found was Napoleon was walking around and around and around in his house muttering to himself. Just stuck up inside his own head.
Well,
This
yeah.
idea of being, and they even go so far as to say that some of them get to the point where they're not even a mind anymore. They're just stuck in a single emotion.
In his particular case, it would have been disappointment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so everyone who lives there at some point is given the opportunity, and the story is the story of this opportunity to get on a bus and go to heaven. Or more accurately, heaven's doorstep. And while they're there, they're confronted with what it is in their life that's keeping them away. What they were doing in life or what they were thinking in life that kept them away from God. Again, without the influence of, oh, you're not the right religion, you're going to hell. But like one of my favorite examples is a woman who, upon meeting her dead brother, it's like, where is my son? You cannot keep me from my son. And the problem with this woman was basically she turned her son into an idol on earth. Everyone else in her life stopped, her other children, her husband, everyone else mattered, and just became obsessed with this one person.
Interesting.
And you can't do, obviously you can't do that. You're a mother, you need to care for your other, and it wasn't because her other children were bad people. They were good people. They were nice people. They were caring people who loved her.
But that one kid, for some reason.
Yeah, she just got too wrapped up. And the way to get her to go to heaven was getting her to break out of that mindset and give a damn about somebody else.
That's understandable.
And it's a series of studies of this. And one of my absolute favorite things at the very end, which is the narrator talking about, well, why don't these humans, because basically all the guides that are helping them along are humans that they knew in life. Except the guide who was a famous writer for some reason. But why don't the guides go down to hell and talk to people there and bring them out? And like, that's not possible. Here, let me show you. And the guy who's the guide plucks a single blade of grass and uses the tip of it to point to a tiny crack in the earth. Which is all of hell is in this small crack that you can barely see. As a wonderful commentary on just how petty evil is.
But evil is good. Don't get me into that argument.
But which again with Lewis it doesn't work because he's not dismissing things. He's dismissing his problem primarily. If you read one of his other wonderful books, Mere Christianity,
Right.
which is his case for Christianity, a lot of his idea of morality has more to do with excess. There's nothing wrong, he openly says and discusses. There's nothing wrong with sexual desire. It's letting it consume you that's a problem.
Gluttony.
Gluttony, lust.
Nothing wrong with a gluttony of lust.
And one of my favorite points of his is the deadly sins are there, and we've talked about this before. They are not things unto themselves; they're perversions of something that's good.
True.
Yeah.
There is a such thing as too much of a good thing.
Yeah.
I have yet to experience that. But, I mean, then in lies the interesting modern day portrayal of the devil giving the person exactly what they want and then twisting the ever-loving daylights out of it. I wish I was the most sensitive man. Emotionally sensitive man. Yep. Oh, man. And I wish I was smart, charming.
We talked about this a little. We are coming up on the end, so I want to hit this again.
We are.
The reality is that... Oh, let's give the number out one more time.
Yes.
So it's 609-807-2492, 609-807-2492. Please feel free to call in. We will be getting on. If you're all tired of listening to us babble about the devil, we are getting on a new topic next week.
Yep.
Yeah. Any good comments from...
Actually, surprisingly enough, I haven't seen any comments. I mean...
It's on yours again.
What?
It's on yours, not Facebook.
Yeah, because yet again, same problem as before.
Yep.
But we actually have several people listening on mine.
Facebook.
I did, but I'm going to throw a punch to whoever Facebook is doing this.
No
yeah, he's
problem.
trying to talk to the people at Facebook to get it fixed.
You want to know what?
It.
If you'd like to, I'd love to make a deal.
You can't afford it.
Who said anything about me being the one that pays? I can take the deal. All I need you to do is just sign right here.
So, important thing that gets mistaken a lot is people in the modern Christians particularly have a habit of seeing the devil everywhere.
Oh yes, anything that would even remotely twist their sensibilities. It's the devil.
Didn't Martin Luther supposedly believe that the devil himself
Up here
rattled
to him?
chains up in the ceiling or whatever just to annoy him?
I know there's the
At all
instance
hours
where
of the night.
where Martin Luther was working on one of his writings and the devil himself manifested. So Luther picked up an inkwell and threw it at him.
Yeah.
And you can go to the castle where this happened in Germany and still see the stain of the ink from where he threw it at Satan.
Good
Call
old
her
Mar-
Protestantism.
good old-
Awesome.
Good old Martin Luther.
Ein Minuten bitte, einen kleinen Problemo, Victor Cialriciani.
But the thing is, a
Spoke a whole
lot
lot
of
of
the
languages.
time, when evil is done, it's usually done by people. People do not need demons to be evil. That it is not scriptural. It is not even scriptural to say people need demons to be evil.
No.
Makes it easier.
And when it is demons, it's still usually not the devil.
True.
It's a thing to realize. God is everywhere simultaneously. He's what's called omnipresent. He's everywhere at once. Satan is not. Satan is
Just an angel.
limited being like the rest of us. If he's screwing with you, he's not screwing with anybody else on the planet. Do you really think he doesn't have anything better to do with his time than possess a little girl down the street?
It would make you feel really special, wouldn't it?
True. I mean, the thing is if you think about it, Lucifer is basically nothing more than an angel with a really good publicist. That's all. He has God's publicist on speed dial. That's why he has as much press as he does. And that's where you got the whole maybe the devil is everywhere possessing everyone.
And this is another topic for us to go into because there's a lot I wanted to say about this, and 10 minutes is not time.
No.
But there's a whole other issue that thankfully has died to an extent, but is starting to come back. That actually you are eminently qualified to join in on a discussion on.
Me or him?
You,
Okay, what?
the satanic ritual abuse panic.
Oh, god damn, yes.
That'll be
That's
a whole
coming back.
episode. Yeah.
That's a thing.
Well, here's the one of the most disturbing things to me. So you know as well as I do the whole problem with false memories.
Yes.
You know where it first started coming back, as opposed to saying it was satanic ritual abuse, but very similar mindsets? Alien abduction.
Yes.
Up to and including there's a theory in pop psychology that alien abductions are repressed memories of sexual abuse.
Well, it was inevitable that eventually everything becomes sexual abuse.
Yeah, everything seems to be sexual abuse.
No, which is not to downplay.
not to belittle
sexual
it at all.
play.
Yeah, oh no,
but
sexual abuse is
It
one of the most
happens a
horrible
lot, and
things.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I will gladly get into
Yeah.
why it seems to end up turning into that. In particular, with a lot of the guided languages that the interviewers have
Yes.
of these supposed victims, that ends up giving them the idea that they were sexually abused whenever an alien abduction happens, or a new satanic panic has begun to emerge.
We need to talk about this
Yeah,
subject
it is.
soon.
Oh yes, that is certainly a topic. For
I'm thinking
another
next week we do the misconceptions.
Yep.
Once we're done that sequence, let's get into the ritual abuse.
Oh
panics.
yeah, hands down.
Misconceptions.
But I want to stick on the misconceptions.
Yes, mythconceptions.
Misconceptions.
It's a
But the
crazy
reality is-
thing.
People see, some people do think everything's a demon.
Oh yeah.
People say rock music causes people to be possessed, let alone heavy metal.
Yeah.
Ironic how that actually a non-zero percentage of heavy metal makers are actually Christian.
Yeah. Oh no, it's actually not unusual.
It's more of a shtick.
There's a lot of Christian metal out there.
Oh yeah.
Well, no, I'm not talking about Christian metal. I'm
Talking about straight up metal.
straight
There's
metal.
most of them
yeah,
are like fairly religious. I mean, even like Dee
nominally
Snider himself.
Yeah, he's a Christian.
Well,
There are a few that are actually there was
King Diamond.
I forget the name of it, but there was the one group particularly in Scandinavia that was actually very much real Satanism and violent paganism, and they're and you can tell they are because they're directly linked to a whole bunch of church burnings, and there's a whole incident with killing like having the dead body of somebody who had been killed.
Yeah.
And there's some but most music, metal or otherwise, is not demonically inspired. I'll say it now. I picked up my first set of dice when I was 13. I'm now 42. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons for decades. You do not get demonically possessed
No.
by playing Dungeons and Dragons. Video games do not cause people to commit acts of violence. And do not take my word for it. Do a little Google research. You can find tons of studies that say this stuff.
No, most of this comes from the 50s and scares of.
Well, particularly the 60s,
comic books
70s,
and
and,
stuff.
and 80s is
Well,
when the
but-
satanic side of it comes in.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
but the original fear of that
Yeah.
the comic books were corrupting the youth, and then that slowly just
Which is-
became rock and roll is corrupting
Yeah.
the youth, and it's the
Oh.
music
Wortham,
of the
the man-
devil, and
I was watching a while back on YouTube some stuff about Wortham, the guy, the seduction of the innocent guy.
Yeah.
He's actually an interesting guy, and while he was fundamentally wrong, it's not completely irrational to understand why he came to the conclusions that he did.
Oh, yeah.
Because here's the thing, and was true in Wortham's time, and it's true today. While video games and comic books and movies do not make you violent, that is completely ridiculous. It's not the way the world works. On the other hand, there are people who are violent
yes,
tend to favor violent comic books and
Of
violent
course.
video games. So if you go, if you go looking for people who have a history of violent crime, it's not surprising to find Grand Theft Auto, Doom, and a bunch of the
Yeah.
darker comic books on their shelves. It's not a causation, it's a correlation.
Yes, it does not create, it satiates. That is merely it.
yep.
Unfortunately, we're pretty much wrapping up for the night. We're going to do our second ad, which Brian's actually taking the time to write up, but I want
Yes.
to real quick plug again. Remember, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, me and Tony Reed, host of How Creationism Taught Me Real Science, on the YouTube channel. But take it away, Brian.
All right. So everyone is concerned about internet security these days, from the governments to major corporations. Even the average internet user should be concerned about who has seen your online information and how that information can be used. NordVPN is the answer you've been looking for. A VPN is a virtual private network that protects your IP address so that your online activity is protected by a military-grade encryption. The way it works is you connect to Nord's private network, and they connect to the internet. It's a layer of protection between you and all the viruses, malware, and snoopers out there. Nord works on all devices as well, not just computers. Phones, tablets, whatever, up to 6 devices at a time, regardless of what operating system they use. Nord works on them all. Access all the internet content you want, streaming media, websites, and social platforms. Nothing is restricted on Nord. So it's a great way to get around all those pesky firewalls at work, or maybe if you live in a country that's not so internet friendly. They have easy plans starting at just $11.95 a month, up to a 3-year plan for as low as $2.75 a month. Check it out risk-free at nordvpn.com, and you'll be glad you did.
Well, in fact, look in the description below. There will be a link that you can go there. If you
Yes.
go through there, it'll help the show out as well.
Indeed.
So I think that's just about doing it for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank everybody for listening. Remember, check out NordVPN and Audible. Links in
Please
the
do.
description below. Also, if you can help us out, it's always appreciated to go to patreon.com/demonology, patreon.com/demonology. Link in the description. Send us a couple of bucks. If you're broke, we get it. Like, comment, share, subscribe are huge things. We're at 404 subscribers as of today.
Nice.
4 more.
We're not going to
will
announce it yet. We
subscribe.
do actually have a plan, but when we hit 500 subscribers, you guys are going to get something really cool.
Yes.
So get the word out there for us. Get us to 500 subscribers so you can see what happens. If you get us to 1,000, we can finally start knocking on the door of YouTube to get them to let us do ad revenue through there, which would also be incredibly helpful.
Yes, please.
We're all really broke, so anything, even just the likes and the subscriptions and comments. Let us know what you think. If you have a guest that you would like us to have on.
Oh, yeah. If you want to be a guest on
If you want to be a guest yourself, please leave it. I check all of the comments on a daily basis. You can contact us through our email or through our Facebook page, the Paranormal Encyclopedia. For that matter, if your house is haunted and you need help, feel free to reach out.
Yeah.
Yes. Who are you going to call?
Kevin! I do want to say on that note real quick, keep in mind as well, if you contact me for investigation, all investigations are free. I do not charge money, nor will I accept money if you try to give it to me. The only exception is
will.
if you
Send
live...
it to
Yeah,
me.
but you're not an investigator, Brian.
No,
So
but they can offer
No.
me money.
But if you need help, let me know. If you live within 2 hours of me, I will not ask for a penny. If you live really far out, I'm going to ask you for gas money, and because I can't afford to drive to California on the drop of a hat as much as I might like to. So
You can't afford to drive to Iowa. On the
I can't
drop of a hat.
afford to drive to Western Pennsylvania at the drop of a hat. So,
Thank God I live in Eastern.
but luckily enough, I also have contacts in a number of other groups that I can help you find somebody who can if you live too far for me to help you. But the point is, I'm here to help. Questions you're too embarrassed to ask publicly, go ahead and ask. I don't mind. KevinM.ParanormalEncyclopedia@gmail.com. I'll put that in the description as well. Anybody else have anything they want to add before we wrap this up?
No, I'm gonna be at the Iron Garden this month. Last Friday of the month. So a lot of other good vendors there. Should be fun.
I should try to make it.
Yeah, it's gonna be there's gonna be some interesting topics.
It's a lot of fun. I've been there. I spoke there once. I want to go back. It's a really lovely group of people.
Indeed. And
Yeah, you should check it out.
yeah, I'm intending.
So we'll all go out. Let's all go out. And try
Yes,
Iron Garden.
definitely. We'll make it a thing. It'll be a thing.
Promotion. Hey, it's promotion for the show.
Yes,
There you go.
definitely.
Do you have anything coming up, Aaron? You want to?
New York Rent Fair is in full swing, so please do come up to Tuxedo, New York. Enjoy the New York Rent Fair. You might see me there, you might not, but most likely if you do, say me hi, and I will say bonjour, as always.
And I've been there myself. It is absolutely fantastic.
It is awesome. Enjoy a lot. They have the shows, they got the vendors, they got the food, they got the whole thing. It brings out my inner Jersey. It is ridiculous. That's why I have to speak in a French accent when I'm doing that. My own.
But that is going to wrap it up for tonight, folks. This is Kevin Mears
Brian McKinley,
Baron Voltage.
saying good night and God bless.
live long and prosper.
Avoid lightning rods.
But still